They're mocking me. This is a follow-up from my previous video. One more for all the marbles. Also, if you guys have any personal Deepwoken mod horror stories, send them in my Discord in the description. If you think about it, mod teams are the customer service of any game. Their goal is to make the general user experience as positive and as seamless as possible, and they do that through moderating things that are harmful to the community. For example, nobody likes exploiters, so they get banned. Is there someone spamming NSFW stuff? Put them out the Discord. These are the roots of any mod team. They just serve to moderate stuff so that people can have the best experience that they can. And Deepwoken is no exception to this. But what happens when incompetency and ulterior motives take root in a team? Before I begin, I just want to preface that I'm writing this from the perspective of a normal player. If you want a more in-depth look at the inner workings of the mod team, I highly recommend watching videos covering this topic from YouTubers such as RayCounter, DanVR, and Valicus. My stance on the mod team has been derived from them as well as my own experiences. On that note, I'm here to give my part. So let's begin. To start, being a Deepwoken mod isn't a paid position. Rather, it's a volunteer job. So to incentivize people to be a mod, the devs offer them incentive through exclusive in-game rewards. This on its own is fine because, it's unreasonable to expect an indie dev team on Roblox to pay out money they may or may not have to moderators when their main job is developing a game. The problem is how the incentive is currently implemented. Deepwoken moderators are given rewards based on the number of moderation actions they take, not the satisfaction of the players, or in this case, basically customers that they are working for. This altogether creates a Deepwoken mod team made of informal volunteers that aren't incentivized to make the community happy, but rather to do as much work as possible no matter how sloppy or unfair it is. Anyways, let's start with how they handle restores. While the rules are important, most people should agree, or hopefully you agree, that restores should inherently be granted if a player loses their character or dies to something unfair, as stated at the beginning of the video. Instead, it seems that the mod team is taking the rules lowering who and who doesn't get a restore. You can't get a restore just because you wiped to something completely out of your control. No, that'd be too simple. No, you also have to completely follow their Frankenstein rulebook that they put on a Google Doc. Fun, right? This is the situation I found myself in. If you haven't watched the last video, TLDR, I had connectivity issues versus an enmity enforcer, the strongest of mobs, grrr, in disconnected. And when I reconnected, I was in fragments. In nearly every sense, this should be a free restore. And personally, just using my meta knowledge, obviously the mods would have no idea of any of this, I know that my PvE character had 35% monster armor, 40% physical armor, 520 HP, and no bell yet. I was too late to min-max him, leave me alone. And so obviously, he wouldn't wipe in any sense, or any fair sense, to an enmity enforcer. But even without that context, my case is still so free, because I clearly died unfairly. I was unable to do any inputs for nearly 30 seconds, because my character was frozen, and then eventually they disconnected. And as pointed out by this comment, I probably should have voted forward to leave before, anything bad happened to my character. But, I didn't, because, well, in hindsight, that would have saved my character. I was still very clearly unfairly killed. I had full proof that I had a disconnect screen, so I should get a restore, because, again, internet and connectivity completely out of my control. Now, just to give context for this, the restore book, or the restore handbook, right? It has a section where if you get stuck in a wall and die because you were stuck in a wall, you can restore. Now, that's honestly more fair than even the case I had, because at least if you're stuck in a wall, you can still, block and dodge, right? My character was completely frozen in an interdimensional rift where all I saw for 30 seconds was a frozen world. And apparently that's not restorable. Anyways, so the handbook, right, has an entire section on safe disconnects that states that if you're above 60% HP with frozen ping for every 10 seconds, you can get a restore. As a person pointed out, I am entitled to another restore submission, which I already did, by the way. The mod that handled my case the second time was decent, because they actually explained the reasoning to why I'm not eligible for a restore, and I appreciate them for giving me the reasoning. They were a decent moderator. Still not a good one, though. They fell into all the pitfalls this ragtag mod team could have, obviously. They aggressively rules lawyered against me, in this case their customer, by stating that, their section on disconnects only applies if Roblox themselves kicks me, rather than just me generally getting disconnected. They stated that, by the way, they didn't clear this up in their handbook. They should have. That the 60% rule in this case does not apply to when I lose agency of my character, but rather when I disconnect. for some reason. They concluded that I didn't fall under any exemptions that may allow me to restore under this rule. And overall, they didn't say this directly, obviously, but they basically said that the disconnect screen doesn't mean jack shit to them. To anyone that isn't delusional, or I guess a moderator, this is total BS. But to the mod team, this honestly actually makes perfect sense. There's no incentive for them to act on goodwill rather than neutrality. They get the same rewards whether or not they restore me, and it takes so much more work and effort for them to restore a character rather than to let them rot in fragments. So, any normal self-respecting mod would probably rather do that, which these ones both did. And to top it all off, they have an excuse. Because the garbage restore handbook, with, by the way, no protections for disconnects, apparently, says that I shouldn't be entitled to one, so I'm not. The mods don't serve their role as customer service. They just exist to keep the community from rioting. And even that, obviously, with how much controversy they've been in, they aren't doing a good job at. Let's end this with one more example. So a while ago, this is a kind of old case of mine, but about 11 months ago, before I got metal, by the way. In fact, this was the reason I got metal. One late night, I was progging a slaw. I just left Trial 1, and then a Voidwalker spawned on me. I fought him, I won, and then about an hour later, I logged off to go to sleep, obviously, right? 13 hours later, I was progging that same character at Duke with a few of my friends, and then suddenly I was kicked.
I've been banned from the game. What the f***? How did I get banned?
What?
What? You were kicked from the experience. You have been banned from the game. What?
Huh?
I guess I'm just better.
Huh.
This is why I should get metal.
Obviously, I sent an appeal because why did I get banned? And obviously, they didn't accept it because there was no evidence I could give because I didn't even know why I was banned. And luckily, that mod wasn't terrible and actually gave me the clip that got me banned. And let me just present the main part that got me banned. At this point, I had spent around $40 on Deep. So there would be no reason for me to just throw that all away and cheat, right? And eventually, 3 months later, I was finally able to prove my innocence and get myself unbanned through a video I made. It has about 600 views. You can go check it out if you want. But in that video, since obviously I didn't have meta, I didn't have my POV, I was able to get myself unbanned through analyzing the clip that they used to get me banned, as well as a demonstration of how lag can make your character glide for a bit, which basically any Roblox game has that. And I bet unless you literally live in a perfect society with perfect ping, you've at one point, for example, done an aerial attack a bit longer than you should have because you lagged for a sec. Apparently the mods don't know that, because apparently they don't play their own game. But, that's neither here or there. So, if you were looking at this from the outside, right, you'd wonder why I was perm banned for this. It's because they're incompetent. In fact, I think even the first mod was probably malicious in this case. Now, again, I have no clue what happened, actually. But from what I've seen, most likely some mod got the report, the ban report from the Voidwalker I killed. Because they're butthurt and they wanted me banned because lag is a bannable offense, and they decided it was just close enough to actual exploiting to warrant a permanent ban, and in the process they robbed me of my $40 that I've spent on the game. And then when I appealed, the second mod was too lazy to actually appeal me or anything, so they just denied me until I could get more evidence, even though the evidence was literally in the clip that got me banned that I was just lagging. Nothing had animation.
I'm gonna respawn up my understanding for this
Everything
one.
was lagging, and they just banned me anyways. So they denied me a second time, right? And then finally, after I sent one more appeal with a video, basically doing the entire mod team's work of looking at the video and seeing whether or not it was exploits or not, they finally decided to unban me because I did all their work. Why wouldn't they unban me at that point? I did them a favor. Yeah. So anyways, every single one of these steps, the initial ban, the first denied appeal, the final appeal where they actually accepted me, they all gave these mods rewards, right? Even though this was very clearly a false ban, so they shouldn't have gotten anything for this. Now, do you see how there's a problem with this? Yeah, this whole system is bogus. This system sucks. So, what can the mod team do to make themselves not the epitome of any player to deal with? Well, improvement is limited under the current volunteer system Deepwoken has, but there is still some improvement to be had. Instead of being rewarded just purely upon how many actions they do, mod team should be rewarded upon these three outputs: work time, number of moderation actions, and community reception. The current system is still important, as removing it in favor of the other two would make the mods unwilling to work with any speed or diligence, while the other two inputs help to curb low-quality work, as incentivizing players' happiness over just doing things obviously will make the players happy, and then promoting working in general rather than just speedrunning through everything will again make the work better. Again, there is no perfect solution. This is the one I came up with, but it's probably still a lot better. There's no perfect solution. This is what I came up with, but we can still get a lot of heck better to like an ideal mod team. Hopefully things change, but for now we have the current Deepwoken mod team. This has been Hyper, signing off. If Deepwoken was a store and the mod team were its employees, they'd already have gone out of business.